The Dallas Morning News, through its president, Joe Dealey, has close ties to a company involved in both timber and natural gas production. Is that a conflict of interest situation? Let's take a look. The news regularly prints editorials and staff-written columns on timber and timber-related subjects. Likewise, its interest in the oil and gas industry, a natural affinity for Texas newspapers. But in the News's case, its interests are bolstered by direct economic links. Southland Paper Mills Incorporated owns over 500,000 acres of forest land in several East Texas counties and produced about 450,000 tons of newsprint in '72, making it the second largest newsprint manufacturer in America. Major expansions are underway at the company's mills, both in Lufkin and Houston. Southland also owns the mineral rights on 150,000 of these acres, and about 5,000 of these are now producing oil and gas. To ensure a reliable gas supply to dry the wood pulp, the company has recently completed an agreement with Houston Natural Gas, one of the public utilities in the Houston area. Southland will build a 37-mile pipeline from the mill to the gas field, which is just east of Leggett, and Houston Natural will build a 35-mile line to the field from its main pipeline located in Hardin County. Southland will use whatever it needs at the mill, and all the rest goes to Houston Natural. Joe Dealey receives income from Southland, both from sitting on its board of directors and also from holding large blocks of its stock. What's more, Dealey's a member of a 7-man voting committee that controls between 51 and 52% of all stock. Both Dealey and the News stand to gain quite a bit from the company's continued prosperity. But has this connection affected the News's position on timber and gas questions? It sure looks that way. If the industry wants more cutting from the national forests, the News says so. If the industry is against limiting timber exports, so is the News. The News doesn't mind patting its timber company on the back either. In complimenting Southland for planting pine seedlings, the News said, quote, "This forward-looking project is representative of the modern forestry methods practiced by Southland and many other East Texas operators," close quote. The industry's trade group, the Texas Forestry Association, regularly thanks the News for its help. The same pattern holds for the oil and gas industry. According to the News, the federal government and the environmentalists are to blame for the energy crisis we're in. The News has spoken out strongly against federal regulation of intrastate gas rates, saying the same bureaucrats who crippled the domestic gas industry and fouled up the interstate market shouldn't be allowed to do the same to the states. And it also moved to protect its own gas supply from other parts of Texas by saying that companies with the foresight to plan and invest large sums of money to assure themselves of future supplies should not be penalized. The biggest issue Southland's faced, however, has been the proposal to create a Big Thicket National Park or preserve, a plan which would remove up to 100,000 acres from commercial forest production. Here, too, the News has been consistent. They have reflected whatever the Texas Forestry Association position has been, even though Southland, and indirectly the News, are members of the association. If the association called for no park, then it was no park. If the TFA agreed on the 35,000-acre String of Pearls proposal, then the News endorsed that one, and so on. When senior News officials were asked to comment on this story, they were unavailable. Neither Dealey nor editorial director Dick West would consent to an interview, and both would only say on the phone that the paper's ties to Southland and its interests had no effect on the paper's positions.